As we started sharing our plans to sail through the Western Mediterranean, we'd hoped that our friends would come visit us on this sailing odyssey through these fabled lands steeped in history and conquest, and waters that had inspired artists like Picasso and writers like Homer. The previous summer, we had sailed all through the American Great Lakes in an experience that brought us deep into the heartland of the United States and opened up large expanses of our imagination as we crisscrossed between Canadian and American waters. But oddly, few accepted our open invitation to see the Great Lakes. As we refined our plans to sail the Med, the friend response was palpable.
Tell me, what'd you get?
Jeanneau 440.
Oh, not that boat.
No.
That's awesome.
Flights were being booked, questions were coming in hot and heavy, and Karen and I came up with a shared online calendar to keep track of it all. But one destination request kept coming up over and over. Was it the party scene in the Balearic Islands? Nope. How about our traverse along the French Riviera? No, not so much. The rugged Corsica and Sardinian Islands? Tempting by some, but no. Okay, it had to be the famed Tuscan coast of Italy. Close. South of Tuscany, near the city of Naples, lies a steep, prominent headland called the Amalfi Coast. So many people wanted to see this spot, we had to be careful we didn't take up residency. We ended up visiting twice, first with Karen's brother Gary and his wife Karen, and her cousin Tim and Lisa, and later with our friends Don, Shelley, and Dan. Needless to say, we were anxious to see what all the hubbub was about. We were drawn first to the Galle Islands. These islands are thought to be the inspiration for Homer's story of the Sirens. Odysseus was first warned about these half-bird, half-women creatures by the goddess Circe, who we had become acquainted with back up the coast at San Felice Circeo. The risk of shipwreck here is real, as the waters are rocky and uneven, but we squeezed in a quick, albeit cold, swim nonetheless. Avoiding the call of the Sirens, we pushed on to Positano for the night. With houses clinging to the steep headlands, the boat went quiet as we all were mesmerized by the grandeur unfolding in front of us.
All I got, like an afterthought, what we felt and said, red wine in your bed, on the naked floor, behind that gated door, always so discreet, on 14 Washburn Street.
Putting Positano to our stern, we continued along a short distance to the village for which this coastline is named. Anchoring here in Amalfi was much easier, just off the local beach. But would this village be another carbon copy of Positano? Thankfully, no. Back in the 1st century, Amalfi began to assert itself by becoming a booming center of maritime commerce. From the town's small harbor, sailing ships would depart from here to Egypt, Syria, and Constantinople. Amalfi also had its own gold currency, the tari. They even established what was called the Tabula Amalfitana, or Amalfi Tables, a maritime code used until 1570 to regulate trade throughout the Med. It is even rumored that the ship's compass was invented here, although this is still a source of debate today. For our part, we pointed our compass to the shore and explored this village as best as it should be done, on foot.
There I like it best, in this catacomb.
On our second Amalfi visit, this time with Dawn, Shelley, and Dan, we chose to tie up at the dock due to severe approaching weather. Unlike other marinas, these guys insist on taking over control of your boat due to the tight quarters. It was a little odd to trust them like this, but once we got on the dock, we understood the reasoning. We all joked how miserable it was going to be, stuck as we were in Amalfi until the storm passed. On cue, the high winds arrived the next morning. With sea rows pinned to the dock, we chose to head ashore and check out the local Museo Della Carta, or paper museum. I have to say that not everyone was enthused as I to visit a museum, let alone one about paper. But hey, it's their loss. Dawn and I learned all about how paper mills once thrived in this region, relying on water for power and warm Mediterranean breezes for drying. The interior of Amalfi offers wonderful vistas overlooking the extensive lemon orchards, built with a robust grid of trellises. After all, this is where you come to enjoy great limoncello. There were purportedly ruins of more paper mills further up the valley, so we pushed on.
I love looking at these old paper mill ruins.
What about them? What's special about them?
Oh, just how they're built into the hillside, and you can see that there's vents in the walls that let the air come through to dry the paper. I guess the sun was too bright, too strong to dry the paper. There used to be how many paper mills up through
13?
this? 13 up through this valley.
Back when paper was popular.
Yeah.
Back at the marina, the wind was still howling, nobody had come and gone on the dock, and not even the ferries were running. But our social plans did not suffer. We discovered next to us a charter boat full of Russians, and next to them a couple of guys from Ukraine. Before long, the Russians invited us on board, and later we hosted them on sea rows, sharing laughs and sea stories that knew no geographic boundaries. We held a common interest in sailing, and that's all that mattered. We were touched when one of their crew, Elena, had sketched a picture of the cathedral in town using an old-fashioned calligraphy pen. She presented it to us as a gift only after all of their crew signed it. It was a touching memento, not only of the town, but of our new friendship. The wind would continue its fury for 3 days and nights, and when it decided to give up the fight, we all casted off our dock lines and scattered in all directions. We had avoided the sirens and the storms, and were all the richer for the experience. We hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and join us next time as we sail on our own over to nearby Procida with its pastel-colored buildings, followed by a trip into the big city of Naples. Fair winds!